everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone's having a great day. And today we are going back in time a little bit, back to the 200s in the MMS. This is MMS 211. This is the Mandarin from Iron Man 3. This is part of the retro series where I go back into my collection a little bit and check out some of the older figures. Do they hold up? How have they held up over the years? Are they still good? Do they still look good compared to Hot Toys of today? Things like that. So before we get into it, I ask if you please drop down, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the little bell for notifications, and let me know on the comments. Do you have this figure? Do you like this figure? This was arguably, for me, one of the best head sculpts that Hot Toys had done up until this point. This head sculpt is phenomenal, and we'll take a look at it here in just a second. So without further ado, let's go ahead and see what's in the box. All right, so here we have the figure in the box. You can see we get a nice cover art of Ben Kingsley, who plays the Mandarin, or Trevor Slattery, as we find out later in the movie. This was an actual picture of the actor from the movie. This was not the figure. So this was back when Hot Toys was still trying to figure out, are we going to do real pictures, or are we going to do action figure pictures, things like that. But we do get a cool picture there. We get a little background there. And it's got this kind of rough texture on some of the edges here for this little design right there. It's kind of raised a little bit, which is really cool. We get a nice shot of Iron Man 3, the Mandarin, 1/6 scale, collectible figure, MMS 211. On the back, we get our warnings and credit, stuff like that. And then there's your side. So take off the top. And we get this really neat title card, as I like to call them. I don't think that's really what they're called, but I like to call them that. I think it's kind of cool. Of the 10 rings, and then the different striped lines indicating when he breaks into the television and takes over the TVs. Those different I think it's 2 or 3 different times during the movie that he does that. This is what this is supposed to signify. And then we get our credits. Hot Toys Presents Movie Masterpiece Series. Creative producers Howard Chan and J.C. Hong, head painter J.C. Hong, things like that. So I like that. I think that's cool. And here we have the figure right here. Looks really nice. And one thing you'll notice, and what I talked about in my first review series, is you won't see any paper or anything like that on this one, just because I've already had him out of the box and displayed, and he's just been put back in the box for the unboxing and review. So we'll take off the clamshell. Now you'll notice right away we get 2 different kind of setups with him. We get this setup with the chair, and then we get a regular round base, back when Hot Toys was doing the round bases. But, I mean, which one are you guys going to use? You're going to use the chair. I've always used the chair. I've actually used this base for a different figure that didn't have a base. It's not the Mandarin, obviously, even though it says that the base says that. But it's come in handy on a couple different occasions. So let's go ahead and take a look at the figure first. So we get this really, really nice head sculpt of Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin. Like I said, this is probably, at least for this time period, which would have been around 2014 when this figure came out. I always felt this was one of the best head sculpts that they had done. His beard is all sculpted hair. He's got his kind of ponytail back here. That's all sculpted, things like that. Looks really nice. And this overcoat jacket is phenomenal. It's got this nice kind of silky style fabric. It's not like the Jedi robes, not quite like that. But then you get the hood there that you can kind of put down over his face, things like that, to give him that kind of that dark and ominous look. And then just taking a look at his underclothes here, looks really nice. And of course, he's got the work boot style on. So articulation wise, it's not a full neck. We've got the little seam there for the joint. So there's a ball joint up in here, which will allow you to get a little bit of range of motion here. Obviously, you can't go down too much because the beard is going to poke the front of the shirt, but you can go back a little bit, side to side, real nice, and you bend the weight, we got our ball joint, we get our elbow. All right, so here we have a pretty typical pose from what I've had him in for the past, I guess, few years, just sitting in the chair. I'll switch him up from now and then, but I always use the chair for posing. And he's just in kind of a typical sitting there pose, like what we would see from the promotional art from the film or even in the film itself. So let's go ahead and get him off the turntable. We're going to do this live on camera. Set him there. Turn this off. And then we're going to adjust the camera out a little bit so we can see it that way. And we're going to bring in another figure. We're going to bring in the mechanic from Iron Man 3. I'm going to stick his, like he's going to shock him with his shock glove. Like that. That looks pretty good. So, final thoughts here on the Mandarin as far as holding up. As you can see, the cloth suit with this kind of the silky style fabric, it held up very nicely. It's got all the little buttons still on it. Nothing's come off. It's got all the details in here. It looks really good. Haven't had any issues with any kind of paint chipping or wear. All the rings on the fingers look good. The beard still looks good. He's been in a Detolf glass case for presumably the last, I don't know, year or so. Few years that I've had him. I didn't buy him directly from Sideshow. I bought him on the aftermarket a few years back. You could get him real cheap then. I don't really know what the price is right now. It's probably a little bit higher. I think I might have paid under $200 for him. He wasn't going for a whole lot at the time. But he's a really good figure, and it's nice to have him in your collection to flesh out that Iron Man 3 line, which is massive. And as we've seen, we're even getting a Silver Centurion suit-up style armor with USB-powered lighting. So they are still going back and hitting some of the suits from this movie. That's just kind of hot toys for you. So I think it's held up pretty well. The body's held up well. The joints are a little bit different, and the body style's a little bit different than what we get now, even with Tony right there, the mechanic. His joints and his body are the older style, where they're a little more rigid. They're not as fluid as what I feel like the ones are now, with the joints are a little bit easier to maneuver, but they're still tight to where they're going to hold their pose. They're not going to just, you're going to put them in your pose and then the joints are just going to start moving around. But these bodies are a little bit more rigid when it comes to the elbow joints, especially that mechanic figure right there. But all in all, I think the Mandarin figure still holds up. I mean, he's easily a 4.5 out of 5 for me. I'm going to do a review and a retro review on the mechanic coming soon. Don't know when that's going to be, but that will be coming soon, so keep an eye out for that. And I think that's going to do it for this video, so I appreciate everybody watching. Please drop down, subscribe to the channel. Please like the video and let me know, do you have these guys in your collection? Or are you thinking about picking them up on the aftermarket? They're still available on eBay and places like that. And follow me over on Instagram at the Hot Toys Collector, and you'll see a lot more photos probably of these two. I'm going to start taking some photos here shortly, and I'll be posting those as well. So, as always, I hope everyone has a great day, and we will see you in the next video.